All right, says John Dillinger.
You know, through the Carter family and sort of folk songs, a lot of those are ballads and they tell stories, and that was fun to me. When I found out I could do it myself, I think I probably, when I moved to Nashville, and early on I wrote Illegal Cargo, and it was, you know, relatively short song, but it had, you know, really full characters in it, and they had names and they did things, and that really intrigued me. And I just I never let go of that thread. I think where the human brain is hot-wired for stories, and I think it must go back to when we were hunter-gatherers, and you would say, you know, where's the nearest water? And the other person would start giving these directions, but they would be incredibly complicated. So you would have to put it in a story to say which way you go when you get to the big rock. You go left and look out for the tiger and all this we have to, and also reality comes in this totally chaotic way. And I think making up a story is a defense mechanism to kind of catalog experience. Otherwise, you just wouldn't be able to keep up with it. If My Eyes Are Blind, I think until I had written that song, I would write trying to sound like someone else, or just saying, this is the kind of song so-and-so would do. And then If My Eyes Are Blind, it didn't sound like anything anybody else was doing. And I went, that's what I sound like. And then afterwards, you know, it kind of opened a door, and a lot of songs started flooding out of me at that point. I remember Contender, you know, just was like this epic song, and I could get all those elements and rein them in. That was a big song for me. 1917, that was huge to me, that creating those people, that soldier and that woman, and just seeing them so clearly in my mind, that was something that I felt I'd really done something big there. The main thing about it is I was finding my own voice, and that was my song, and it wasn't really anybody else's, you know. I was the only one who could really do it. I'm not comfortable just talking to people about myself.
Okay.
And if I can, you know, something like, okay, Titanic and it being from the iceberg's point of view, that song came about, I had it in mind that I wanted to write some country music song. I needed to make some money. And then I realized that I didn't much like country music songs. And I wouldn't admit that, but my unconscious, I'd sit down to write, and my unconscious is saying, no, we're not gonna write that. And I wrote these strange songs, one of them being the Titanic. And I think, you know, that was a song that in some way reflected, you know, what was going on in my life that I wouldn't be able to say to people directly. And what it was, the Titanic and the iceberg are a bad relationship. And I was going through a really bad one. And if you've ever had that experience, it's very much like hitting an iceberg, you know, for both parties, I would say. The other thing is, I think when you look at something directly, you sometimes miss what the essence of that particular thing is. Whereas if you see it sort of off to the side, somehow you see some basic truth, you know. So I think in the case of the donkey that Christ rode into Jerusalem, you know, if I tried to write a song directly about Christ, it would have been, I don't know, I just couldn't do that. So you look at some other peripheral character and try and see what they think. And then you can get to some really interesting points of view. So that's just something that works for me. Okay. The songs that we did on the X-Rays album for Rounder, they seemed to combine, like they were rock songs, but they were also these sort of involved stories. I remember those songs as being, you know, kind of a landmark for me. Afterwards, yeah, it wasn't so much thinking this song is a total breakthrough, but I would say after If My Eyes Were Blind, I knew the level that I wanted to work at. So, you know, writing for the X-rays was kind of a discipline that I learned, you know, to write for a specific, you know, sound. And then after a while, I kind of missed, you know, playing solo. So when the X-rays went the way of all bands, I was kind of glad to get back and play solo because I could really do the softer songs.